Welcome, tender hearts navigating the unruly tides of feeling, welcome to your safe harbor, whispers of Turkish stars. We all know how easy it is to skim headlines and pretend they contain the whole truth, but you, loyal companions of this space, understand that reality hides in the shades between words, in the pauses no one hears, in the breaths that never make it to print. Today, we ask you to lower the volume on the chatter, set aside the lazy rumors, and sink with us into a tale about evolution, artistry, and the echo love leaves behind even after the door has quietly closed. At the center of our reflection are Yaman and Demet Özdemir, two names that once made entire cities hold their breath, and who now, though moving along distinct roads, still seem to perform the same melody from distant stages, a melody worth listening to with care and respect. Before we open this window into the creative sanctuaries of our stars, we invite you to do the most vital thing for our community: subscribe, tap the bell so you don't miss even a heartbeat of these narratives, and, if you believe in storytelling that peers beneath the surface and enters the secret rooms of the soul, click the join button with conviction. Some loves, the deep ones that root in the core of who we are, don't truly end on the day two people decide to turn away and choose separate directions. Often, they conclude, or better, they complete themselves on the day both finally grasp what that bond arrived to teach. Some relationships let go of the visible tether, the one made of intertwined hands and photographs frozen in sunlit afternoons, yet continue sculpting the interior landscape that allowed those two spirits to recognize each other in the first place. This is the shape, airy and potent, of the story that still threads through Yaman and Demet Özdemir. Now, they don't share dressing rooms or whispered notes on a set. They aren't hitting marks together under the same rig of lights. You won't catch them slipping from the same car, or trading small grins over takeout coffee between scenes. And yet, if you truly listen to the stories they are telling now separately, each inside a creative universe built by their own hands, you will notice the themes reflecting each other like moonlight on a tranquil bay. We are not offering a romantic rewind, nor dangling hints of a reconciliation best left to dreamers. We're not tallying up points to decide who wins the scoreboard of life. What we bring you is a measured, steady look at the chemistry that shifts inside two people after they part, and how that change seeps, uninvited yet irresistible, into their work, turning raw ache into something luminous. With the Blue Cave project, Yaman chooses a kind of artistic bravery that transcends performance. He does not simply interpret lines that arrive on a page, he steps beyond the familiar armor of only acting and becomes a maker. He writes, shapes, and prowls through the unlit corridors of a story for the phrases he once left unsaid when the stakes were real. He brings to the stage those feelings that men are trained to stash behind a hardened jaw or a smile sharpened for flashbulbs. Discipline has always been part of Can's DNA, almost austere in its intensity. He studies with monastic focus, repeats like a musician searching for perfect pitch before the hall fills. But Blue Cave is a pivot, a turn of the wheel. A screenplay rarely appears when one is content with speaking in other people's sentences. The film avoids the neat chart of a conventional love plot. It moves with its own tide and hides a riptide beneath. Its heart beats to revelations that arrive late, to truths showing up when the latch has already clicked. At the center stands Sem, precise, contained, measured down to the breath. He is strong in the quiet ways that sometimes get mistaken for invulnerability. And then the film fixes its gaze on him and throws a question that rumbles like summer thunder: is it really too late for what you never said? The question doesn't only encircle the audience, it stares down its author, Can, as if he'd set a candle in a dark room to study the silhouettes on the wall rather than the flame. It is ruthless and exquisite self-inquiry, an attempt to give voice to a regret refined into art. Dear friends of Whispers of Turkish Stars, did you feel this fresh depth in Can? Do you sense that through Sem he is lifting a veil on something he once guarded? Tell us what resonated in you, we are listening. Demet Özdemir's road may appear different, yet it is no less bold, no less transformative. From the outside, radiance has always been part of her story, and with radiance comes the tired hum of prejudice. It is flattering to be celebrated for beauty until the compliment hardens into glass overhead. For years, the qualifiers tried to shrink her. She's stunning, but she's a hit. But instead of clapping back in frustration, instead of firing arrows across timelines, she has carved out a room where her voice fills the air. With two worlds, one desire, a title adapted for analysis, Demet does something unmistakably her own. She steps beyond any image crafted for her by other mouths and, with a deliberate calm, declares, "I am not merely the face of a role, I can be the pulse of a story." She is not content to act within a frame assembled by others, she sketches the horizons and invites us to walk. What blooms inside this film breaks past tidy romance. It speaks to grown-ups who forgot their small, fearless selves, to women and men trussed by duty who find again the softer compass they set down in a hard season. The surprise, the breath catcher, is what the film refuses. It holds no rancor. There is no ledger of petty debts, no hunger to punish yesterday. No polished monologues designed to win an old debate. The story picks restoration over retaliation. It seeks a gentle landing where life left a bruise. It is the answer of a woman who turns scars into apertures for daylight, displaying an emotional steadiness beyond her age and beyond the audience's expectations. Set blue cave beside two worlds, one wish, and an unseen bridge stretches between them. Not because they match in plot or trade characters, but because both draw water from a shared, secret well. Can's tone is dusklit, inward, tuned to the almost inaudible hum of what-ifs. Demet's tone blows, generous, a sure hand on a shaking pulse. Neither erases the other, neither is an eclipse. They are different hours of the same day, arriving in their turn. We often misunderstand inspiration as a duet sung shoulder to shoulder under one lamp. More often it travels quietly, like a signal through dark water. One person steps through a door and, without grasping their influence, grants the other permission to cross an invisible threshold. When Can sat down to write, he wasn't challenging Demet. When Demet wrote her world, she wasn't composing an answer to him. They were distant mirrors, catching the same light at different angles. That is why the timing feels uncanny and the resonance impossible to deny if your ear is trained on the subtleties. Tell us, dear viewers, who else in the Turkish galaxy carries such a rich artistic rapport despite choosing separate lives? Which pairs would you like us to explore through this lens of creative echo and emotional altitude? Your voice adds color to our story, so write to us. Why have magazines and gossip sites wrapped this chapter in fog? Because it resists the formula. There were no doors slammed for effect, no press circuits of pointed accusations, no neat headings assigning triumphs and defeats. In a landscape that feeds on crash and spectacle, Can and Demet offered a riddle: can gentleness be news? Can quiet growth hold an audience? To the surprise of cynics, the crowd leaned closer and whispered, maybe. Maybe people really do transform after goodbye, just not in ways that make easy headlines. Here is what lands with force. Neither erases what came before, and neither uses it as bait. There is no coy nostalgia, no cryptic captions engineered to stir the pot. They allow the work to speak. Often, that is the loudest statement possible. The power that follows doesn't require pounding chests. It remains steady and insistent, drawing your gaze back again and again. You may notice, as you listen, that there is no explosive finale in this account. That choice is intentional. Real life rarely detonates on cue. Some evolutions happen in whisper and tide, the way the sea redraws a shoreline while the town sleeps. Some inspirations travel from one person to another like a glance across a crowded room. Some loves keep working on you long after they cease to be your everyday ritual. That is where Can and Demet stand now, not together, yet not entirely parted in spirit, sharing the same altitude of feeling if not the same street address. Look at them today, and the picture clarifies. No metric of competition matters here. There is no duel. It is not about who sits higher at this moment. This is the tale of two artists who held the same feeling in their palms and then carried it along different paths so they could offer it back to us. In Blue Cave, Can writes about the ache of messages never sent, the courage it takes to open your mouth once the room has fallen silent, the hairline fractures in those who appear made of steel. In Two Worlds, One Desire, Demet lays down the counter-melody we need: you do not have to be entombed in the uncompleted past. Healing is possible. Hope is not simple-minded, it is practiced every day. Miracles have no trumpet section, they arrive like dawn, common and unstoppable. Place these films side by side in your mind and you will find no collision, only balance. Perhaps the love they shared taught them the same lesson in two dialects: if you swallow what matters, it isn't gone. It remains. One addressed this with shade and confession, the other offered light and shelter. The aim is the same, to tell the story, not to win, but to understand. Today, Can Yaman and Demet Özdemir do not share a call sheet or a dinner table. They do, however, exhibit the same poise, emotional steadiness born from growth rather than the sugar rush of a momentary victory. Perhaps this is the healthiest bond after romance. Influencing without consuming, learning from afar without the itch to claim credit. It is rare, it is quiet, and it is strong. We have come to the end of this layered and tender exploration, here on Whispers of Turkish Stars. The story of Can and Demet teaches us that art is the secret language where love continues, changed but not extinct. We will remain here, attentive guardians of these narratives, ready to catch every new nuance the horizon sends. And you? Do you also see the mirrored reflections in their work? Do you believe their creative spirits are still in conversation, drafting invisible pages of a book without a last chapter? Tell us your thoughts in the comments, your voice keeps this home alive. If you appreciated the patience, care, and courage with which we walked this tightrope, please like and share with anyone who seeks the truth that glimmers beyond gossip. Above all, if you want to become the pillars of this family and let us continue to unveil the heart secrets of the stars with this level of devotion, we warmly invite you to press join. Your support lights our way and keeps us independent, brave, and deep. Thank you for staying with us on this emotional voyage. Until the next video, where feeling always leads the scene.